Yeah, so if that follows suit, then right in the next 6 months or so, 6 to 8 months, I would say you would expect that. My one caveat, and my job as a trader is to kind of look at all sides, right? Just in case, you never want to just focus on one thing in case you're wrong. And the only thing that I fear is that we talked about a potential upside of like 25,500, and I think it got to 25.3. So I missed
Yeah.
it by $200 there. But we have started to see the market in Bitcoin and crypto come back down. We're still seeing some strength in the alts, which may have to do with the merge. But nonetheless, I do think, unfortunately, that we're not quite at that max pain level in crypto yet. So I still think there's ultimately more downside to go. But again, longer term, so near term, more bearish, longer term, I'm a huge bull on crypto and on Bitcoin. So let's delve into the charts. This is where I go into my kind of my groove here. And so basically what we could see is, and I think when Austin and I talked last, we were kind of inside of this channel here and we were going up. And the idea was we were going to get to about 25.5. And we got again right there was about 25.3. And then we came down. And then notice how we broke this trend line. So this was a perfect channel, parallel lines. We broke below. That's what we would call a bear flag here, in spirit of bear flag. And then where did we kind of come to rest? We came right to rest at this trend line, which over here was a good support. And this is the 2017 highs, right? So previous cycle highs have a lot of psychological impact on investors. And so it usually means that there will be significant support at that level. And you can see again here, we bounced again, and then even over here, we bounced. Now we've gone below. But just like over here, I'm not 100% sold we're ready to collapse yet. I still think they might try to get us up one more time before rolling it over to the downside. So ultimately, near term, next week or two, I think we do have a shot of testing maybe the 17,500 low from June right here. And then that's going to be your next kind of big stand by the bulls. Can the bulls hold that major support? If not, hate to say it, but 12 to 13,000 is your next target to the downside. So again, I do have it priced in that it's eventually we go to 12 to 13,000. The question is it September, October, or November? But unfortunately, we have to go lower. A lot of people will say, why does this cycle have to be as big to the downside as the past cycles when you have more participation in Bitcoin? And the key here is understanding in previous cycles for Bitcoin, the Fed was always printing money. And I do worry that the fact that the Fed is not printing money now does mean that Bitcoin has that potential to go down at least equal to previous cycles, which is 80 to 85%. I think 12 to 13,000 would be. And again, does it mean it's going to stop on a dime there? No. I mean, again, momentum is going to carry the day. Fear is fear, and it's very pervasive. And so you may get panic selling down there. Down the line, if you ask me where would be a worst case scenario for Bitcoin, if it repeats what Amazon did in the dot-com bubble burst, then you're talking like 3,500 on Bitcoin. But that would be an absolute worst case scenario for me. And for me as a long-term bull, keep in mind, I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm only going to buy at this price and nothing else. I'm smart enough and I've learned the hard way enough that as something falls into your zone, which would be basically anything below 20,000, I'm just starting to basically take a lump sum of cash and I'm just starting to put out buy orders like every $3,000 down, essentially dollar cost averaging, so that, whether it goes to 10,000, 12, or 8 or 3, at least my average is going to be in this lower teen area for that next bull run. Charts. And I think this is where so number one, in bear markets, they always push us to extremes where we want to give up, right? And you could see in 2009 when the Great Recession happened, when the bank stock, I mean, you had stocks like Bank of America trading at like $1 a share. I mean, it was incredibly scary for everyone out there. But again, was that the best buying opportunity in history? Heck yeah, it was. And if you go back here, and this is kind of the kicker on Amazon. Let me go back here. We're going to go all the way back to when I was a wee little one. I was in high school, just finishing up high school, heading into college here. But basically, number one, look at that pattern, very reminiscent of Bitcoin, right? So you had that same kind of M top. The second high of the M over here was higher than the first, just like Bitcoin. And then you see this massive collapse to the downside where it goes from basically $5.66 to a low down here of about 27 cents, right? So massive percentage decline. But the reason why you shouldn't panic is, number one, is your fundamental thesis intact? Do you believe that the Fed eventually is going to start printing again? Do you not believe in fiat currencies? Do you think that Bitcoin is that digital gold that has staying power, as you're seeing institutions starting to invest in it? And I believe in all those things. I believe in needing a different currency that I can hold, or a different kind of form instead of fiat currencies. And then the best thing with Amazon, if I zoom out on the Amazon chart, look at this. So that 27 cents was down here. And then look at what you did. So even if you bought at the highs, so like let's just imagine people out there, they bought at 68, 69,000. If Amazon represents what Bitcoin could become, then look at that. Would that, I mean, still, if you wanted to wait 20 years, you still would have made a fortune on Amazon, even buying at the high of the dot-com bubble. And I think that's the exciting thing about it, is that, you know, generally, if you're a believer, obviously don't invest more money than you can afford to lose, because there's always the rare chance that it doesn't pan out. But you can be in at any range and just slowly dollar cost average. And if it goes where I think it's going to go, there's just massive, massive upside. Yeah, I think the amount of time here, I think bear markets last a certain amount of time. And if you get outside of that realm, you start to get to that point where it starts to slope up. But in terms of charts, there's a couple things that I would watch for that would change my opinion. And you're right. Number one, I've been wrong enough in my trading career that you have to admit that you could be wrong at any time. And that keeps you actually safe. And what I would do here is, if we look at this chart of Bitcoin, here's your 68, 69,000 high. And if we take a trend line and just drop it down, you can see that you have a longer term trend line from this pivot to this pivot. And then we haven't tagged it again. But if price started to get above that line, that would be interesting to me. That would be a long-term trend line break to the upside, which would start to get me more bullish and make me think, okay, maybe we're not going to see 5,000 or 3,000 on Bitcoin. Maybe, let's say we only go down to 12 or 13,000, but then it gets above. Now I start to think that longer term bullishness is going to start to take over. So key breaks like that would get me very interested. And then on a different side too, I do pay attention to the fundamental side. And I'm a true believer that, as scary as regulation is, as scary as what Gary Gensler is talking about, it's a needed thing for the crypto sector. And it's going to be scary initially, and maybe it causes a quick flush in crypto. But once we know the facts, like it's very disconcerting to big money when you're talking about billionaire investors or even multimillionaire investors. They don't know the rules. Like, what rules are altcoins going to have? What rule is, and when you don't know rules, big money won't invest. They're not going to put a large chunk of their net worth on the line without knowing these rules. So if we can get clarity, even if it's not the greatest in terms of it's a little harsher regulation, at least we know the rules and we know what rules we can play by. And that will be by itself really bullish for crypto in the long run. Yeah, so if that follows suit, then right, in the next 6 months or so, 6 to 8 months, I would say you would expect that. My one caveat, and my job as a trader is to kind of look at all sides, right? Just in case, you know, you never want to just focus on one thing in case you're wrong. And the only thing that I fear is that the Fed has pulled forward so much growth and so much inflation in asset prices by printing money since 2009, really, that I wonder if they aren't able, because of inflation, to print money during the next recession, which some would argue we're already in a recession. But if inflation is not back below 2% and they say, hey, listen, it's 4% inflation and we're in a recession, we can't print you out of this economy, then does that mean the recession could drag on longer? Because really, if you look at it, we had a bull market in the economy since really 2009. You had little blips like COVID, the COVID March drop, but you wouldn't call that a recession because we recovered so quickly. So the question is with the lack of printing and the fact that in every past little bad dip, the Fed has come to the rescue. If they can't come to the rescue in the next year or two in a recession, does it mean that the recession could be elongated to make up for the longer bull market growth period that we had? So I think you want to think about that 6 to 8 month period as kind of your best case scenario, and then just keep in the back of your mind that we have to pay attention to what the Fed's doing. If they start to print again, then it's all risk on. But until then, just be a little cautious. Just continue to be a little careful. This is the bear markets. I've seen so many people blow up in bear markets. We all think we're geniuses in bull markets, but bear markets really show the truth. And again, the best thing you can do is just be a little conservative right now. The bull market will come back, but you don't want to blow your money in a bear market by doing stupid things. Save it, do a little investing, play it light, and wait for that bull to come back.